Hotep, Uncle Jocelyn, welcome to another live broadcast of Adults Only. I'm still struggling with my hoarse voice, but I should be squared away next week. You're looking at Adults Only. This broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'm along with my co-host and my anchor guy, Chaz, and we're going to continue to talk about a discussion that we started some 2 weeks ago. First of all, I want to speak to Chaz and let him tell everybody how he's doing. How you doing, Chaz?
I'm doing all right yourself, bro. I want to ask real quick, how has your usage been with these social media and getting off these apps as quickly as possible?
You know, I've done a great job this week, and I want to continue to press that issue. I'm glad you asked because we must practice what we teach as well.
Right.
And so I still get on it, but I notice my usage have been cut down tremendously since we've been doing our broadcast. And I want to keep it like that because
Good.
a lot of times we get caught up into this addictive attitude. And so
Right.
that's what I've been doing. What about yours?
Like I told you last week, I don't post that much. In fact, the only time I do get on social media is YouTube if I'm looking for like a video or something like that if I'm at work. But I would say it's not even more than 3 hours a day. I'm not even just mindless surfing, but it takes time. It takes real patience to get to that level as well.
Okay, Chaz. Well, tonight's subject is the final analysis of spending too much time on social media, part 3. Buckle up, and this is what we've been talking about. Fasten your seatbelts, and let's go on this odyssey. Let's go on this ride, and let's talk about how many of us have basically gone stone crazy with social media, our usage, old people, young people. But Chaz, before we start putting up our final analysis, I want to ask you, I really don't realize and understand why are we not getting that much feedback when it comes to this issue that we're talking about.
I'm saying this in a loving manner for everybody that's listening. Brother, you know why we're not getting that much feedback. I think a lot of people think that we're trying to be funny or they're taking this personal, and it shouldn't be. This is a lesson for all of us. So we're not getting feedback because people are angry. They're very, very frustrated because they feel like we're talking down to them when we're not. We're trying to uplift them, but they don't see it that way. And that's why we're not getting that much feedback.
Okay, because I was wondering, most of these broadcasts that people do, you get messages, comments off and on, but we don't seem to get them that often. And then when we do get them, it's only a few people. And I'm wondering, you know, what is really going on?
Well, and let me say this real quick. I'm willing to bet you next week, once we shift the topic, they're gonna stop hiding. I guarantee they'll come back out and they'll probably start, but they're hiding right now. They feel like we're stepping on their toes, and it's all love. I mean, we're not angry with the people. It's just that that's how they look at it on this situation.
But we're even talking about ourselves, Chaz. So I don't understand that. I really don't. But we must do something. We must reclaim our lives back from this social media magnet, this abyss or this vortex. And I think we need to start off by looking at our final points when we talk about social media. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is I want to let you say something about this, how when it's all said and done, the final analysis should be we all should be cleaning up our acts and spend less time on social media. Why do we keep preaching? Why do we keep teaching? Why do we keep harping on this all important point?
For number one, how many surveys are we going to look at all across the United States that tells us children, adults, elders, all people, once we're on social media, it does something to our mental health. We're getting more angry, we're more depressed, we're more frustrated, we're more bitter. And these are reasons because we're looking at other people's lives on social media and we feel like we're inadequate or we're sorry people because we're not living up to what we see on social media. And here's the thing, make myself clear. There's nothing wrong with getting on social media. But when you're on it to gossip or you're on it just to start drama or you're on it just mindless scrolling, you're messing your brain cells up, you're destroying your emotional state, and you're putting yourself at a bad spot because most likely you're going to be jealous and bitter. So just try to stay off of it as much as possible because there's nothing but garbage on there mostly anyway.
And this is why we put this on there. When you look at a house, Chaz, many times a person's home or apartment, their place of abode, when it gets junky, we have to clean it up.
Right.
Well, when it comes to our lives on social media, a lot of our lives are out of control. And
Yes.
we don't see the importance of cleaning up our acts, cleaning up our lives. And so, because we've become addicted, many of us, we become so obsessive. We don't see that our lives should be cleaned up. Our acts should be cleaned up. I look at my own self and I say to myself, you are too old to be spending all of that time on social media. You're much too old to be doing that. And so I have to challenge myself. And I don't think that many adults like to challenge themselves because we feel like we're adults and we can do whatever we want to do.
Right.
And so we live on social media. And this is an indictment on us as a people, because we should be cleaning up our acts and spending as less time as possible on social media. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree, brother. Let me look at it from another perspective too. How can we clean up our acts if we see nothing wrong? Meaning, if
Whoa.
we're looking at a situation and in our hearts we feel like we're not doing nothing wrong, we're innocent, this isn't anything wrong, we're not going to clean up our acts because we see nothing there. But once we take that first step and saying, you know what, I have an issue, I need help, I need to correct this. Once we do that, then we'll move in another direction. But if adults don't see anything wrong with being on social media all day, then nothing is going to get changed.
Yeah, because I don't think we want to admit that we are addicted. When we lie down, before we go to bed, we have to look at something, as we often say, and we've said on the last 2 weeks. So if you haven't seen the last 2 broadcasts, we ask that you go back into the annals of history in our archives and look at those too, because we talked about a lot of interesting things that we do and what we should do. But a lot of us, we're in the bed on our phones. We wake up, we're on our phones. You know, we're walking through the house, we're on our phone. We're checking our phone. We're taking it to the bathroom with us. And this is a sign of sick people. And this is why we're having this discussion. Staying off of social media can also cut down on the addictive nature that many of us have had to it. Why should we cut down because of our addictive nature?
For a couple reasons, like I just told you, we should cut down on it. For number one, it messes with our health, our mental health. And for number two, it gives you, as a lot of people say, it puts you in a better state, because I've fasted from social media plenty of times. And you could do a 15-day fast, a 30-day fast, a 60-day fast. It just
Chaz,
depends on
hold on for a second. You talking like you're talking about food. You're saying you're fasting. I mean, what? You're using the same lingo. Is it that bad?
Yes, brother. It is that bad, where I've even talked to some friends and they said, you know what? I deactivated my account for 60 days on Twitter or Snapchat. I deactivated the account. And when I came back to it, or those 60 days, I felt better. My mind wasn't in the gutter. I didn't have brain fog. And I felt good coming off those 60 days. So yes, this is like food. This is like sugar. This is like candy. You have to stay away from these things in order to feel better about yourself, because these things are destroying our lives at a rapid rate.
Yeah, and if you stay off of it, and if I stay off of it, we won't find ourselves with that addictive nature. In other words, we have to have it when we're doing nothing, like a person who eats a lot. You know, when there's nothing to do, we tend to grab food. When we're worried, we tend to grab food. When we're stressed, we tend to grab food. And then we will admit, well, because there's nothing to do, I find myself grabbing a snack, not knowing that that is going to take them to their grave at an early age. And so I agree with you about staying off of social media. It will cut down the addictive nature. Now, we didn't say go cold turkey, but you have to be mature about this situation. I want to bring up another analysis of this thing and see what you have on this one. We all should be using our time more productively than sitting around on social media all day. Chaz, talk about how valuable the time is that we should cherish, because we often say, those spiritual and religious people, how valuable our time is. Make the best of our time. We all say that. Well, why are we not making the best of our time when we're on this internet all the time?
Like you just mentioned, most of us, we get off of work, we get home from school, and we feel like It's nothing else to do, so I might as well get on social media. It's nothing else to do. I hear that a lot. And I want to just say real quick, I think it's important for us, all of us, to cut this addiction down. We must
Whoa,
substitute it. We
whoa.
must substitute it. If we're always on social media, think of another hobby. Think of something different to incorporate in our lives to replace the social media addiction. Now, with this right here, like we always say, we can't get time back. But when we don't value our time and
Mhm.
when we feel like there's nothing else to do, then we're going to be on social media. And this is a habit that a lot of us in America are going to fight till we die. It's a terrible habit.
Chaz, I think this is worse than you and I are saying. I think we're not doing this justice. Now, we're doing what we can to try to bring light to how we should cut down on social media. But I don't think that people are adhering to what we're saying. And the reason I say that is because many of us, we have fallen so in love with social media that nothing is going to stop us. I don't care what you say. I don't care what I say. I don't care what anyone says. We have become, it's beyond addiction.
Wow.
It's beyond obsession. And I don't think that we as a people see the damage that's being done. And we can do more things that are productive, but we choose not to because of a mind that's real small, a mind that's really weak, and a person who don't know how to combat getting on this internet on a daily basis. And so to those who are listening and to those who are doing what we're suggesting, we applaud you. We take our hats off to you. But I'm letting you know now, more people than not are not going to listen to a word you're saying,
Right.
because most of us we say we're way out there,
Yeah.
and we don't want to come back. And so that's why our time should be spent more wisely. We don't have that much time left, man.
Bro, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Do you think the people who invented Twitter, Snapchat, all these Facebook, all these apps, do you think the person or the people who created these sites, do you think that they sat back and strategically gave us these sites because they knew it was going to be to our demise? Do you think that that's what happened?
Yeah, I believe so. Just like cigarettes and alcohol. You know, we know that smoking cigarettes will cause cancer. We know that drinking too much alcohol may cause cirrhosis of the liver and other things that we die from. So they strategically sit up and make the cigarettes look beautiful so we can buy them. Back in the day, they had commercials. They stopped it. But now, even with food, we make it look good on commercials. So I'm saying all that to say this in answer to your question. I agree with you wholeheartedly that people sit back masterminding this thing. And I'm going to talk about it in the next point because I saw something on TV that was very disturbing. How, in fact, I'll say it now. Meta, which is Facebook, they're being sued by a group of attorneys, general attorneys, because they're saying that they've come up with these apps that they know are addictive. And these apps are addictive to kids. Yes. And so they take these kids and they take these kids' minds, and they know that these kids are going to want more of what they're doing. Yes. So they keep putting these apps out, which is the next point that talks about too much social media.
Yes.
Is destroying our children. And I want you to say something about the dangers of what these people, these con men and women, these people that you can't even put a name on, how rotten, wicked they are to come up with something to take a person's mind and throw it in the gutter for the rest of their lives.
Brother, I know this is tacky a little bit, what I'm getting ready to do. I tried to send this to you before. It's just a quick note. This is exactly what you're saying. In fact, I don't know if people could see this. Let's see here.
Hold it up some more. Hold it up a little more. Okay, there it is. We can see it now.
Okay, so basically what this is from the news. They're basically saying the same thing that you said. This social media is damaging our children. And I get frustrated because when I say our children, let me just expound real quick on here. It says breaking news. Meta claims that Facebook, Instagram is harming our children's health. These are our precious little kids. And when I say that, at a young age, you're teaching them this, that social media is all this in a bag of chips. I get frustrated because they've moved on from attacking us, big brother. These masterminds said, now we want to poison the kids. And it's up to us to take this back into our hands, because if we don't, it's going to get ugly. And I'm frustrated because our children are so innocent. Their minds don't need to be corrupted with this stuff. They don't. Not at this age. It's way too early.
And, you know, I don't want to throw salt on that, because those were some beautiful words. And those words really put a lump in my throat. You know, it wouldn't go up and it wouldn't go down. And in fact, I feel like crying now because you're so articulate with those words. But I'm going to pour a little salt on the game right now, because what you just said is true, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. But the issue is, how can a parent tell a child to stay off of social media when the parent is using social media just as much, and in some cases more than the child, you see? And because most parents nowadays, we don't see anything wrong with social media like you just expounded on. We think social media is our friend. We want to get away from our children. So what do? We give them a cell phone and we go in another room, and the kids are on sites that they shouldn't be on. They're looking at things they shouldn't be looking at. They're playing addictive games. And so that is our babysitter now. Yes. And now this is an easy way for the parent to get off of being a parent, to get off being an aunt, to get off being an uncle. And the thing of it is many of us adults, Chaz, and I'll let you take it back after this. Okay. Many of us adults, I'm going to be honest with you, we're cowards. I got to
no,
I got to say this. We're cowards. You know why? Because we see what we're saying is true, and we're not going to say anything. So we stay in our silence while these little babies are being destroyed. And this is why I believe that our people have gone down a vortex or the abyss, and we don't want to come back because we're afraid to say to our children now, you're spending too much time on that phone. Yes. Get that out of your hands. Yes. This is a problem. This is a problem.
And the frustrating part too, brother, and I have to expound on these challenges. There are a few challenges on these apps where they're normally decent, but most of these challenges, there's two I can think of right now. One called the Blue Shark Challenge, and the other challenge where the other black brother just lost his life and his mother is still grieving to this day, called the One Chip Challenge. All these challenges mostly are to our children's health, and they're killing themselves because of these sick men and sick women telling them, you know, eat a hot chip. It's good for you. And this young man, I feel so sorry for him and his family, lost his doggone life off of a challenge that should not have been created. I mean, brother, these challenges I know they're not going to stop, but I have to get some frustration out at these sick cowards who are creating these challenges for our little ones, and they're losing their lives rapidly.
Yeah, this is really sad, because we all should be focusing on more important issues in our lives besides social media. A lot of us have health issues. A lot of us have financial issues. A lot of us have community issues. A lot of us have social issues. A lot of us have emotional issues. And instead of focusing on those things that are important, we're sitting around as old as dirt on a stupid phone.
Come on, brother.
I'm talking about all of us on a ridiculous phone. This is absurd. We're on a phone. We don't know how to relate to one another. We can't have a serious discussion. The man and the female, the husband, the wife, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the sisters, the brothers. We can't have a serious discussion because social media has destroyed our minds. And so instead of focusing on the more important issues, we're on a phone, man, for 23 hours out of the day.
Come on, brother.
Well,
come on.
I'm exaggerating for effect.
I was going to say, okay.
I'm exaggerating for effect because we have some sick, very messed up people, and we don't want to admit it. One thing about the alcoholic, when they finally give their life to changing, they say, I admit I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
But the social media junkie will not say, I am a social media addict. They always caping for it. And I guess you mentioned before on one of the shows how important there are more important issues that we should be involved in.
Yes.
Please elaborate on that a little bit.
Just as basic as far as if you can get up and you're not crippled or in a wheelchair, get up and exercise, pick up another job. Always, maybe if you can study like yourself. I see all those books back there in your library. Read, do research. If you can, get out in the community and, like you said, talk to your neighbors, see what they may need. There's always something to do. But I think a lot of us, we're in our comfort zone. Let me just put it like this.
Okay.
We're all in our comfort zone. We don't want to be bothered.
Whoa.
And after we've got home from work, we're fed up, we're frustrated, we're angry. So we get on these apps to try to erase what's going on in our day-to-day lives, and we just don't want to be bothered.
Wow, now that's heavy. That's heavy about not wanting to be bothered, because many of us, we barricade ourselves and we live in our own little fantasy world. And I really feel sorry for us, and me included, because we live in a fantasy world where we don't want to have social interaction. We want social media.
Yes.
We don't want social engagement. We want social media. And it's hard to have these discussions with adults, Chaz, because many adults don't see the importance of what this thing has done to us and continues to do to us.
It's gotten to the point, brother, and I've heard somebody say this a couple weeks ago. Social media is raising us. When I say raising us, I'm talking about our young ones. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what's going on in life. So when our kids start acting out and doing a lot of bizarre behavior, sometimes it's not always the school. Sometimes it's not always the buddies that they're hanging with.
Okay.
Social media is raising our children, and we must, and I say we, I'm talking about as a whole, we must get a grip on this thing.
Whose mind is strong enough to fight this monster? Which adult's mind is smart enough to see the damage that social media is wreaking on our children? Who has enough guts and strength and courage to speak out against this thing? We have a comment, Chaz. I'll read it to you.
Okay.
This topic is none but the truth. Excuse me, brothers. It has not only given truth, but challenged me to step back on this issue and do more than just give too much time on social media. What do you guys say about that comment?
First of all, I appreciate the comment. And this is a sister who's looking at this situation. She's telling the truth. She knows that we're doing this out of love. And she's saying, you know what? She has to take a step back and try to regroup. And because she's noticed that she's going down a hole that's not good. So once again, if we're telling these messages to people, even if it's only one person like herself that gets it, at least she's recognizing the issue, accepting the issue, and trying to come up with other strategies to defeat this problem. So I appreciate the comment as well. You went mute.
When will we get adults, Chaz?
Okay.
When will we get adults that are serious and honest about this subject matter? When will we get adults who know that their family and families are being affected greatly by this thing? When will mothers and daughters and fathers and sons and mothers and sons and fathers and daughters, when will we have these serious discussions? When will we talk about something that has taken the world by storm, not just in the United States, not just in North America, but in South America, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in Australia? When will we have these serious discussions? And this is the part that I have an issue with. To these adults, us, I'm talking about us.
Okay.
We're so chicken. We're so chicken that we sit behind a phone. We won't comment. We won't engage in serious dialogue.
Yes.
But yet, when the dumb stuff comes on, Chaz, we're all in for the stupid stuff.
Yes.
We don't talk about these things, and yet we're being affected by them. So I want you to say something, and I got another point coming up. Continue to talk, brother.
Sure. I want to say real quick, You said, well, when will we take this serious? And I
Yeah.
hate what I'm getting ready to say. I hate saying this, but I have to say it. The only time we will take this serious is if us or our loved one, fiance, wife, girlfriend, etc., family member, loses their lives from social media.
Come on, Chaz.
Brother,
Come on, man.
or if they get sent to the slammer for 20 or 30 years because
Come
of
on,
something they
Chaz.
posted.
Come on,
That's
Chaz.
that's the only way we're going to really start taking this serious. Now, if nobody's dying, nobody's getting arrested, nobody's getting hemmed up by the cops, we're not going to say anything. I wanted to say real quick before you go to the next point to Brother Raymond. We appreciate the comment. He's back with us today.
Okay, good job. Yeah, bro, Ray. We always look forward to listening to you because you always have some pertinent issues. You know, here's another point: staying off of social media may improve self-esteem.
Woo!
Do you want that one, or you want me to start it and you'll finish it?
I just want to start real quick.
Okay, start it.
For
I'll
my
finish
sisters, Black sisters, Asian, Japs, whatever.
Okay.
I feel, and I'm not degrading them, but I have to say this. I feel bad for them, brother, because they are at a state where they're competing with each other for who has the most likes, who has the most comments, who has the most this.
Man.
Brother, this is true. And then when they post, they're not getting what they feel like, and they're trying to gain other people's attention. So they delete the pic, put it back up, delete that pic, put it back up. And brother, I've seen this and I feel sorry for them. And this is not to put them down, but they are the ones at this point on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Their self-esteem is low, brother, because some of them may not have a man that's telling them that they're sexy, that they're good looking,
right,
and they feel like they're worth nothing. So that's why they're all here to create more and more likes to feel better about themselves. I feel sorry for our sisters.
And let me close this out with this point. Don't you let no one ever equate who they are with who you are. You are one of a kind. You are very special. You are very unique. Quit trying to be like whomever. Quit trying to walk and talk and look like somebody. Quit trying to make your hair and eyelashes. Quit trying to get your hair, brothers, bald-headed like other men. Quit trying to let your beard grow like other men. Quit trying to wear glasses like other men. Quit trying to be like people that you're not. Yeah. Be who you are and love who you are, because your self-esteem is something that only you can build. Don't equate yourself with nobody. Quit letting people treat you that way. And that's all I had to say on that, because I think right now it's really messed up.
Yes.
Brother Ray say he's been sick, man. He's been sick. He's been down.
I'm glad you're feeling better, brother.
Yeah. Limiting social media usage can encourage in-person interactions and strengthen real-world relationships. That's what I said earlier, and I guess I want to start and let you finish it.
Okay.
Relationships, the way people communicate using language, that has taken a back seat to social media.
Yeah.
We don't know how to sit down and have intelligent, wholeheartedly conversations, Chaz.
Yes.
We don't know how to sit down and talk about the weather.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how to talk about life.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how to talk about love. We don't know how to talk about anything for the most part. So social media has replaced the personal interactions. This is why we don't do a good job of communicating with one another.
Yes. And let me just say this real quick. A lot of and I keep going back to our kids, brother. The reason why I'm harping on them a lot, because they're the ones mostly at risk. Because like I said, the powers that be have said, you know what? We're done with these older guys. We've done the damage that we needed to do to them. We're moving on to the kids.
Oh, that's good. That's good right there, Chaz, what you just said. Go ahead.
Okay. And the kids, the young teenagers or what have you, their communication skills, a lot of them, it's not that good because of social media, like you just mentioned. Even in with some adults, like you mentioned, our communication skills have went down the toilet because we don't know how to, like you said, just sit back and have a basic conversation about some of the basic issues. So our communication skills need a little bit of a touching up.
And just like Brother Ray just said, we don't know how to disagree with respect. Because
right.
social media teaches us when we disagree with one another, we should try to do something to that person. This is why we are so screwed up as a society, because a lot of us don't want to take heed to the truth. And this is one thing I like about this broadcast. It's so pragmatic. It's so practical. Anyone can do this, you see, because we really want you to be what is called resilient. We want you to be able to bounce back because we know that it has taken its toll on all of us. We must be resilient. In other words, we must have the ability to bounce back from something that has devastated our minds and life. And social media has done just that. I'll get another point. I think we got another comment, but I want you to comment on this first.
Okay.
Avoiding too much social media can and will protect your personal information and privacy.
Brother, that is a handful. A lot of scammers know that we can't live without social media. So they sit back and we wonder, and I'm not making fun of anybody who's been affected by identity fraud or someone whose identity's been taken over. I'm not laughing at that, but I'm saying the scammers are sitting back. They're doing that because of social media. We're posting everything. We're posting where we go. We're posting what we eat.
Whoa.
So some of these scammers are sitting back saying, you know what? I got me a victim. And they're taking our information left and right, and there's nothing we can do about it. And yes, it can help protect our privacy. For number one, they say, I looked up a documentary, the front camera on all of our cell phones, there's sick perverts and pedophiles who can flip, and we don't know it because we're just, doing whatever. They can turn on from their remote location, brother, our front cameras. And if they want to, they can look at us while we're in the shower, while we're in the bathroom, while we're doing whatever. So I don't know why they thought of this, but you guys can all look this up as well. I don't have to lie to you. That front camera, I would suggest start covering up with a cloth or something, because there's perverts who are sitting back at a remote location, turning on our front cameras, spying and looking at us. A low down dirty creep.
Wow, that's true, Chaz. And here's another thing about this point. Why would you want your personal information out there like that? Why would you post your personal information like that? Why would you want the world to know what you're doing, where you're going, what you're eating, what you like, what you dislike, when you're in the hospital, when you're at home, when you're doing this? Why would you want that? A sick mind would want that, Chaz. And I'm trying to bring truth and shed light to all of us in terms of we don't see how serious this is, but we have some messed up people psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and we don't see that these discussions are needed because most of us are so soft. We don't know that this social media is doing its damage on us. I don't want you to know, as I said last week, what color drawers I'm wearing. I don't want you to know when I'm sick and I have to have surgery and you want to see the doctors cutting on me or whatever. I don't want you to see all that stuff. I don't want a camera in the room when somebody that I know is having a child. We don't need to see all of that. But this is where the world has gone to, Chaz.
Yes.
And it's sad.
Yes.
Somebody says, Ray Coleman, glad to see you back and be well. Yeah, we have people all over that care. And this subject is important. So we're trying to tell you something that's helpful. Staying off of social media can break the dopamine cycle. You know that's me. You know that's me. You know that's me. The dopamine cycle is what I've been talking about for the last 3 weeks. Dopamine is a chemical that's released in our brain whenever we do something that is good or that we like.
Right.
And each time we do it, it releases this pleasure. And so if we stay off of social media, the dopamine won't fire, you see. But because the dopamine keeps firing, Because every time we get on social media, as you mentioned a few weeks ago, when a person gets a like, the dopamine fires and makes that person feel good. Or when someone posts and we put our like on it and they see our likes, that makes them feel good inside. It makes them feel like they're somebody because they're so lonely inside, man.
Yes.
They're weak, they're lonely inside.
Yes.
And they don't see this. And so they want to be friends with everybody.
Yes.
If you show your butt, somebody gonna like it. If you show your big toe, I promise you somebody gonna like it. And these dudes and these ladies take pictures and they post them and put them on this social media.
Yes.
And you should see how some of us dress.
Yes.
And yet we want to make sure we get 200 likes. That's a problem, man.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yes. And like you said, the dopamine, it's something that a lot of us, like I said, us as a whole, we deal with. We do, for some reason, we feel good when we post and we have 50 comments or 40 likes. That makes us feel good. And once again, there's nothing wrong with posting, but if you're just mindlessly posting, just, you know, you standing up in a bathroom at the mall or in trying on a new outfit at Macy's or something like that, the world does not need to know that. We really don't.
Yeah, and another thing too, Shaz, what we didn't bring out. Now I'm gonna mention me because I know a lot of people think we're talking about them, but I want to talk about Here it is. Sometimes I want to get off the cell phone. Now I always show you an example of what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm looking at a post or I'm just surfing, as they say, and I really don't want to be on it. I want to get off of it, but I can't. I can't.
Wow.
The dopamine kicks in. And so I find myself flipping.
Yeah.
Now I know I've been on this thing for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I don't want to be on it, Chaz. I want to get off, but I can't. So all I'm doing is flipping. I'm trying to find everything I can. And this shows that I'm a sick man. And this shows that a lot of us are sick. And we don't want to admit that we have some serious internal issues when it comes to social media.
Brother, I wouldn't say that you're sick. I would just say that you have a heavy addiction and you're fighting it. And you know where I'm going with this. If you have that issue, go to your settings, and there's a usage on all these iPhones to where you can limit your screen time. You can set it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you feel like is appropriate for you. Set that timer for 20 minutes. And once you hit that 20-minute threshold, your phone is going to cut off. And you know at that point, you've done enough social media for the day, and then keep on going about your business.
This sister says you're an addict. She's playing, she's commenting, she's having fun. But there is some truth to that, Chaz. Right. When I say I'm sick, I'm talking about psychologically.
Okay.
I'm talking about emotionally.
Okay.
I'm talking about mentally. Because for a man or a woman to stay on this thing alone, laying in the bed, waking up, walking through the house, walking in the park, riding in the car, that's a person who has some problems. And again, we like to soften the blow and say, no, they're not. But that is a person. See, this is why I like straight shooters, because people play games. But the bottom line is, why can't we control the usage on social media? Because we are an addict. Yeah. You know, it's just like a junkie or a dope fiend. And this is why we need to be honest about it. Although we have fun with it, we really are. And so I'm weaning myself. I'm working on myself. I'm making sure that I use the social media for a very limited amount of time. Yeah. And when I do go on there, I'm not trying to find you and everybody else to see what you post late, the latest post. But this is how some people are so messed up. They find their friends or their girlfriends or their boyfriends. You remember we talked about a few weeks ago, we talked about the idea of these cyber lovers.
Yes.
We try to find what did they post. Yes. So we go to see what they post because we missed the post from them. And this is how screwed up most of us are. Being able to limit social media usage can give one control over their lives once again.
That does not really need anything else to be said. We do have to gain control over our lives. This addiction is taking us over at a rapid rate. Let me just say this real quick. There's nothing, and I have to keep reiterating this. There's nothing wrong with being on social media. But like you said, when it's at a high rate where we can't get anything done, we're constantly on it. We find, in fact, when somebody tells us about this, we push back or get angry.
Yeah.
This is just something that it's going to take a long time for us to kick. And like I told you earlier, brother, for all of us who have this addiction, go to your settings, go to the I think it's somewhere in the general information, and just cut down on your usage. Do it for 30 minutes a day. And after that 30-minute threshold, tell yourself, you know what? I'm not getting on this anymore, and shut the thing off.
You know, Chaz, one thing that I looked at on this point, and I think I want to say it now. When a person becomes of age, and when I say becomes of age, I'll just throw a number out here and say about 30, 35.
Okay.
When a person becomes of age, they should be looking into finding the meaning of life and focusing on serious matters. You cannot find the meaning of life on a cell phone. You cannot find the meaning of life always posting every little thing that one does. We cannot find the meaning of life always trying to find our cyber lovers on this social media. But what I'm trying to say is a lot of us don't care about study and research because we're too busy on social media. And so it's laughable, it's foolish, and it's absurd to think that we can find the meaning of life. Our ancestors were always searching for the meaning of life, man.
Yes.
And a lot of us don't give two hoots about the meaning of life because we're so childish in our thinking because social media has done its job on us.
Brother, this just popped up in my mind. Let me ask you this real quick. Hypothetically, if he was still around, or some of these people, Malcolm X, Dr. King, Kennedy, all these guys, especially Malcolm X in particular, how do you think he would feel about social media, like Facebook and all this stuff? How do you think he would feel?
Malcolm X wouldn't have that many followers because I believe Malcolm X would use social media to teach the people. No foolishness. And see, a lot of us, just like our broadcast, a lot of us ain't thinking about these kind of truths. So Malcolm X would be teaching how the so-called Negro is on social media using this thing. And so we wouldn't be his friend because we would want to hear what he had to say.
Yeah.
So I believe that with all my heart.
Yeah.
Brother Malcolm X, as hard as he was, as kind as he was, as truthful as he was, people don't want to listen to you and I, and we can't even be compared or said in the same breath of Malcolm X, and we only have 5 or 6 followers.
Yeah.
So Malcolm X would have known way more people, but once he put that truth out there, they would have started falling away just like ants.
I agree. I was thinking that too. I think his people, like the Nation of Islam, some of his buddies and stuff, like they would be on it. But like you said, as a whole, nobody would probably want to listen to him because he would probably be hitting with hard topics like this, and a lot of people would just probably cut it off.
Yeah, because people don't, I'm telling you, man, people don't want to hear the truth. Cutting back on social media is going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult challenge since most of us are used to being on it. And I want to say this too. You think that what we're saying is easy, but I'm saying to the people, this is not easy. Right. When you've done this for a long time, this is really a challenge, man, because you find yourself saying, I'm not going to get on the phone today, but for about 10 minutes. And then you find yourself going back on the phone after 10 minutes. I messed up. And before you know it, it's 2 or 3 hours.
Yes.
And so it's a difficult challenge. And a lot of us don't see it that way.
And like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. It wasn't. And brother, you're absolutely right. All of our lives, for the most part, since 6th, 7th, 8th grade in my generation, technology has really taken off. And this is a tough addiction to kick when all our lives we've been taught by our loved ones, stay on social media, cuz, show them how you get down and all this stuff. So it's going to be tough kicking this habit. And once again, like you said, for example, an addict, he tells himself, I'm not smoking crack anymore.
Right.
He tells himself that.
Right.
But 2 weeks into it, he goes back to it.
Yes,
so
he does.
Once you go back to it, we all do. We say things and we go back. once we made that mistake of going back, tell ourselves once again, okay, you know what? No more. I'm not going to let this thing have a hold on me.
Wow. Some of us have forgotten about building social relationships now, that we've allowed social media to capture our hearts. And this is true. If you truly put your mind to cutting down on social media, you can do it. We're here to encourage you. We're here to foster your growth. We're here to say that if you truly put your mind to it, you can do it. Just like losing weight, just like not eating all the time, just like not smoking all the time, just like not swearing and using vulgar language all the time, just like always trying to beat people. You can honestly do it if you put your mind to it. But that's the biggest thing I just said. It's the mind. The mind has to be malleable or made to be willing to be able to control what's going on, because many of us are so weak. And I don't mean this to put anybody down. I'm being honest. We're so weak that we don't know how. And the mind has been infected and affected. And we don't want people like you and I telling them what to do. So the mind has to be in check. That's why people don't want to, like Ray said, he researches. A lot of people don't care about researching. A lot of people don't care about studies. How can you live in a world and not get into something that's going to help build up the self? That's what I don't get.
Brother, let me just, and this is practical, okay? In order for us to kick this down, I challenge everybody that's listening to this message right now or after this broadcast is over, go on your phone and whatever app that you're most addicted to, if it's Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you hold that button down and delete it. I challenge all of us.
And you see what I'm doing too, don't you? It's going in one ear and out the other ear. So you see,
I thought I was muted. Okay, go ahead.
No, you're not muted. Okay. I hear what you're saying. Okay. I'm saying you're not. I'm saying what you just said, as nice as it was, because you changed your tune from last week. You're really giving out encouragement this week. You're honoring people. You're helping people. Last week, you were the Grim Reaper. But this week, I'm saying what you just said, as nice and practical as it is, it's going in one ear and out the other. Because many adults don't have time to work on themselves. They don't want to meet up and talk about the importance of life. They don't want to talk about the meaning of life. They don't want to talk about health. They don't want to talk about well-being. They don't want to talk about social and emotional issues. They don't want to talk about spiritual issues. They don't want to talk about religious issues. They don't want to do these things, Chaz. And I'm telling you now, you're wasting your time, although you should keep doing this. But I'm telling you now, a lot of people that you and I know, they're not interested in what we're saying. So this is to the ones that are. So the ones that are listening to us, yes, please go and shut this thing down so you can get your mind and your life back. But I'm telling you now, we have some people that watch this broadcast and they're not looking at it to learn and to grow. They're looking at it to say, that's good information, but they'll never do what we say. So this is the problem. Somebody says, the sister says, delete, brother.
Delete button.
Oh, delete button. She says this here too. What about the sports app?
I mean, I call myself a side street analyst. I try to break these little sports analysis down. But yes, sports apps, I'm not on them constantly. I just get an alert and keep going. But here's the thing. Let me just address the sister's claim. I'm not on there looking for all these sport teams. And you know me, brother. When we ride in the car, I get the alert. I look at it for 2 seconds. I keep going. But I'm not reading the whole article. I'm not reading
trying to follow all the teams and everything that's going on with their lives and all of that.
Right, or 7 or 8 hours. I'm on there. I get the alert. I find out where the player got traded to, and I keep it moving. But she is right in the sense of, basically in a nutshell, what she's trying to say is tackling this issue with any app, Facebook, sports, whatever, and basically just cutting it off because it is a hard.
There's a lot of brothers who love sports and we
Yeah.
do like sports as well. But you follow your little team, but that's pretty much it. You can't
Right.
follow every team. You can't follow every player. You can't know whose dog, who has a chihuahua, who has a poodle. That's impossible. But some people are like that because they feel like they're going to miss out on something.
And brother, let me just say this too real quick for us men who listen to this in the sports world. Brother, do you know how insane that would be, like you just mentioned, to try to follow every team, every coach, every player, everything? Brother, that our base, I bet we basically will be in a hospital if that happened. It's too many teams and too many players. That's impossible to do.
It is. Others will ridicule you, but don't get caught up in that mess. When you call yourself cutting back, when you tell people what you're doing now when it comes to social media, people are going to laugh at you and try and make fun of you. But you have to not get caught up in that, because they'll have you doing things that you don't want to do. That's why I keep talking about the mind. We really need a course, and maybe one day we should do something on this broadcast about the mind, because a lot of people don't realize the effect that things have on the mind. And until we realize that, we're going to continue to have a problem with trying to stop what we need to stop. But the mind has been so tampered with. Limiting social media usage can contribute to a healthier and a more balanced mental state. That's what I'm talking about.
So, and that's what I was going to say. If you cut back, and I said this earlier in the broadcast, for those who may be jumping on or just listening at the last second, in order to regain your life and gain control back and try to cut off this social media, is I would start by fasting at least for 3 days, or even something basic. Start off for 2 or 3 days. Wow. After you do that, try to expend it. It's like exercise. You do it for 2 or 3 days. After you do your 3 days, extend it for 5 days, then 7 days. Just keep expanding, and then eventually you'll get this thing down pat to where you won't even need it. Hold on real quick, brother. Let me do something real quick.
Okay, and I want to say this too. There's a play on words right here. Limiting social media usage can contribute to a healthier and more balanced mental state.
Okay.
Some of us are out of shape, and I would talk about myself first. Okay. Now I'm working on it, but I'm still out of shape. So the goal is to get in shape so I can have a healthier, well-being lifestyle. That's the goal. But a lot of us are out of shape mentally.
Yes.
We're big as a house mentally. And I don't mean it physically.
Yeah.
I mean mentally. See, and we don't like to talk about that. We don't like to talk about how unhealthy social media has become when it comes to our minds. So we talk about eating healthy foods.
Right.
Healthy diets.
Right.
Good health. But a lot of our healths are messed up when it comes to social media. So we need to look at our own minds and say, is my mind healthy? Do I have all that garbage and filth in my mind from social media? Everybody likes a joke now and then. Every now and then I'll see something on social media that's humorous and I'll chuckle.
Right.
But I'm not going to spend my whole day looking for jokes to laugh, man.
Right.
I don't have time for that.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with. Spending less time on social media will enhance one's own self-reflection, how you see yourself. What about that?
It basically goes to the people we follow. If we're following people on social media who have a glamorous lifestyle and they're constantly taking vacations or constantly spending big money on clothes and shoes, we're going to feel bad about ourselves. So if we stop following these type of people, I'm willing to bet you 9 times out of 10, we will have better self-esteem about ourselves instead of always comparing ourselves with others.
Chaz, what would make a person, let me use you and I as an example, because I don't think people realize this. If you knew I was a quack and I was teaching stuff that wasn't true, and you knew it in your heart, why would you continue to follow me? This is what I'm trying to see. Because many of us follow people. We know, Chaz, we know they're no good when it comes to the teaching or the different things that they're dealing with. Why would I keep following you, man? Why would you keep following me if you know what I'm saying is whack?
Brother, especially the reason why that person will still get followers, I'm willing to bet you, is because of that person's appearance or her appearance. to the opposite sex, that person looks good or is attractive, even though their methods may be weak or sorry. They're going to listen if the person has a good looking face. And that's just how it is in society. But I want to backtrack real quick, brother. And I know this is about health, but you mentioned it a few sections ago. For the people that are out of shape, it's not, especially for the older groups or the elders, it's not about having a six-pack or anything. Being in shape is just being able to go up and down steps without huffing and puffing, or going to your car without being out of breath, brother. Because I don't want you to be down on yourself. It doesn't always have to be with muscles and a strip, a firm chest. I call being in shape now as long as you can get to places without being short-winded or out of breath and being able to do basic functions, and you don't have to have a six-pack or anything like that. You're mute again.
Spending less time on social media will enhance one's self-reflection. In other words, how you see yourself. How do I see myself? It's going to help us see ourselves for who we really are. And I'm going to tell you now, you're not that person that you think you are on social media. You're not this glamorous movie star. You're not this celebrity. You're not this talk show host. You're not this model. You're not this actor. You're not this actress. You're not these people. But in your mind, you think you're these people because you get likes and people tell you good things about yourself. And now you think you are a celebrity. You're not a celebrity. But yet people keep doing this.
Well, I think a lot of people do it too. Also, like if they're not, they want to eventually become an influencer in that specific area. So they keep doing it eventually, hoping that they can become a social media influencer.
Avoiding obsessive usage on social media will free up time for self-care. A lot of us have health issues. A lot of us have a whole lot of health issues.
Yeah.
And we're not taking care of ourselves, but we're running to a phone. We should be making sure that our health, that our bodies, that everything that we have is taken care of. But we're too busy on social media, and everything in our lives, our bodies, is falling apart.
Ooh,
and so, Taz, it's falling apart, and we don't want to admit it. We can't walk, we can't run, we can't talk, we can't eat, we can't sleep, we can't do anything because we're too, but we can sure hold the phone up though.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is put that rascal down and make sure that get you a book. I went out and I purchased 2 books. When I wake up late at night, instead of grabbing this old thing here and surfing, looking at foolishness, I get up and I read something. I want to educate my mind. I want to feed my mind, help my mentality. But I'm telling you now, our health is falling to pieces, and our children's health are falling to pieces, and we're still picking up phones. Replace much of social media usage with something positive, Chaz. Positive. You mean to tell me we can't find anything positive in our lives?
I think we can, brother. And I said that some minutes ago on the broadcast. We must replace social media with some kind of habit, even if it's golfing, crossword puzzles. There's something we have to replace it with, because I'm going to tell you what, if you don't replace this addiction, you're going to go mentally insane because you don't know what else to do. You're so addicted to this habit. Now you don't have it. If you haven't replaced it, you're going to go insane.
Whoa, Chaz, that's heavy right there, man. So I guess we're on the same page talking about that mental.
Yeah.
Here's the final point. Final analysis. Social media is a positive tool if used correctly. But if not, it can have an addictive effect in one's life. Now, I'm going to talk about that. I'll let Chaz talk about it. And then I'm going to come back up to this, and I'm going to put this on, because a sister named Yoni, she wants to come on this broadcast for at least 10 minutes, she says, at the end of one broadcast. Okay. And she wants to tell us how important it is to support broadcasts like this.
Okay.
She wants to let people know that this is important, extremely important. And just like you see me and Chaz remote, this app, it costs money. And so it doesn't cost much, but all of us can pitch in and take care of this. We're not asking you for a tenth. We're not asking you for your whole check. We're saying to support us by going to Cash Out, Big Brother Jahi, and then we take care of this. But back to the point that we're talking about, which I think is very important.
Okay.
Social media is positive if used correctly.
Yes.
But if not, it can have an addictive effect in one's life. Social media has gotten out of control in many of our lives. And most of us, we don't want to admit that we are social media addicts.
Yes.
We don't want to do anything about this. And this is why we don't watch these kind of broadcasts, because these kind of broadcasts puts us face to face with truth, with reality. And a lot of us are so messed up mentally and psychologically, we rather watch other things that's not going to challenge us.
Yes.
And so what we're saying is, if we use this thing correctly, and most of us don't, and I'm talking about myself, grown men, brother, grown women who are addicted to a cell phone because they don't see the value of how to use it.
Wow.
About that.
I want to say real quick too, on the positive side of social media, there's a good feeling where you're looking for an old school friend that you used to go to school with. You haven't seen this person for years, and they pop up on your feed, and you start talking to your old friend that you haven't seen in years. That's a good feeling. But like you said, and myself included, we all use this app for the most part for the wrong reasons. We have to gain control of this. And let me ask you this too, brother.
Sure.
What do you see happening if there is a situation? Because I think this happened a few years ago where the grid went down. What do you see happening with us people if this Facebook or YouTube app goes down for 2 weeks without coming back on?
This is as honest as I have ever been with you. This is pretty much the most, I guess, straightforward, the most straightforward that I will be with you when it comes to this.
Okay.
And that is this. If the grid goes down, and I mean it, if the grid goes down, a lot of people, us, Black people, African Americans, Christians, Muslims, Hebrews, Nawapians, whatever you want to call us, we're going to crack up and lose our mind.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're going to crack up and lose our mind because we're going to reach for it and nothing's going to be there. We're going to put it down. We're going to reach for it again. Nothing's going to be there. And eventually we're going to go stone crazy because there's nothing we don't know how to make the best of our time is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We can't pick up the phone and call someone and have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah.
We're too busy trying to tell somebody what to do, run somebody's life, get in somebody's business, always negative, never positive, never spiritual, never learning, never researching, never growing up, never getting what we need, man.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going to crack up, because most of us are already on the verge of cracking up. We just don't know it. We think we're sane, but a lot of us are messed up in the mind behind this thing. And that's why we're talking like this. And this is why a lot of people don't want to hear us, because a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. They say they do, but they don't. And then some hear it and they're not going to do anything about it. They're going to keep following these wackos. They're going to keep on social media. They're going to keep looking for their cyber lovers. They're going to keep on doing these things. So all we can do is teach to those who are serious.
Right.
Because a whole lot of us are not. And I think a lot of us know who we are, because you're hiding behind a cell phone.
Wow.
That's not going to get it. Because at the end of the day, when you don't know how to take care of business, and you don't know how to talk to people, you don't know how to treat people, and you don't know how to communicate with people, and you don't know how to love people, and you don't know how to be honest, we got a serious problem in our community, in our society, in our families, in our world, and it starts with us.
Yes. I cannot believe, like I said, brother, I'm just thinking back in 2000, and I've said this before, back in 2005 and 6, social media, brother, was not like it is today. And for some reason, It has gotten way out of control, and us as people, we must get a grip on this, because I'm telling you now, if we don't, this stuff is going to run our lives to the ground.
But we have allowed it to, because my thing is this. I know that social media is going to continue to do what it does, because that's what it's about.
Oh yeah.
But we give into it because of our, like we said a few weeks ago, because we're lonely and we have no confidence. But we want to give you confidence tonight to say that you can do this thing. You have the ability, and so do I, to cut down on our usage of social media, because a lot of us are so illogical. We're just chaotic in our minds because social media has done this to us. And this is why we don't tune in to broadcasts that's teaching the basic truth when it comes to life, because many of us don't want to hear it. And so therefore our children are going to suffer. We're going to suffer. Those who come behind us are going to suffer, because many of us aren't serious. And when I was growing up, and I'll let you take it from here, when I was growing up, they called that a certain word. And the word they called it was jive turkey. Many of us are jive turkeys, man. That's what I'm trying to say, Chaz.
Yes. And we have to, okay. You said that word was used about when you were growing up. I would say a lot of us are jive turkeys now.
Yeah, come on, Chaz. Don't be calling us that, man.
Well, I said it in love, but we all know that this is true. Deep down in our heart, we know that this is true. And for us that have been living around like yourself, by now we should be on the uprise of trying to correct these issues. They shouldn't be getting worse. They should be getting a little bit better. And we all can do it. It just starts mentally. And like I told you earlier, these are practical tips. When a person has an addiction, you know what they tell you when you're in these recovery classes and stuff like that. Don't hang around people who do the drug. Don't delete their numbers out their phone. And the same with social media. Don't put yourself in a situation where you may relapse. Meaning, if you know you have a terrible addiction to Facebook, delete it. If you have a terrible addiction with Snapchat, delete it, or I would say even deactivate it for 30 days. Start getting the ball rolling somewhat in the right direction, because just sitting back saying, yeah, I got a problem. Well, you're not doing anything about it, and it's going to get worse. Exactly. So you have to put your feet in the right direction and start trying to knock this addiction off.
And I echo the same thing you said. I say, come on, y'all. I know we can do it, but we have to put forth a valiant effort. And it's going to take two things. One is courage, and one is determination.
That's right.
Because a lot of us, we're taking up for our own demise. We're making excuses, and we have to first come clean.
Yes.
So I'm going to say now that I'm going to give Chaz the last words, because after this, we're going to go off the air. We've gone over. We don't care. We didn't have to stop this now. This is important. I'd rather go over and go into overtime than have somebody, a social media junkie. Maybe there's a point that we made. So we're talking about all of us. Quit being so sensitive to where you think that somebody is putting you down.
Right.
If you can't recognize truth, what kind of man or woman are you? Quit thinking that everybody's always talking about you. We're talking about us as a people, because we're all struggling with this thing. Chaz is struggling with it. I'm struggling with it. You're struggling with it. So stop being so childish.
Yes.
When you can't accept the fact that we're all struggling, but yet you're taking it personally, but you're old as dirt and don't even realize that this is for all of us, man.
Right.
You got to do something about it. So having said that, this has been a 3-week series on obsession with social media. I'm your big brother, Jahi. I'm going to give Chaz the last words, and I'll say to all of you, Uncle Jocelyn, Shem Hotel, which means I'm signing off in peace. I wish you all peace. We'll come back next week with a brand new subject. Maybe we'll get more followers after that. Ray bust out laughing because he knows it's true. But let's do this thing the way it's supposed to be, and quit being so immature. That's all of us. Yes. Because we got to build this house together, y'all. And those who don't want it, then forget it. But those who do want it, we got something good going. So Chaz, you can take your time and say whatever you want to say. And once Chaz say, we're out, I'm going to hit this button and we're going to get out of here until next week.
I want to start off by touching up by what you just spoke on, brother. People who are listening to this message, don't take it personal. Don't be sensitive, and quit thinking that the world is out to get you. We're not out to get you. We're here to encourage and help you. Yes, these messages sound tough. Yes, they sound hard. Yes, they sound like we're talking down. But family, this is all out of love. Do you think that if we didn't love you, do you think we would be sitting here trying to tell you guys this information? We care for your well-being, and don't think that we are your enemy, because we're not. Now, on the social media tip, once again, you guys heard me through this broadcast, and this is just practical. If you know in your heart you have an addiction, start off by fasting for a couple of days from it. Once you go back to it, fast a little bit longer. Delete the apps. Tell yourself, I'm going to make myself find something else better to do with my time than lurking on social media. Your mental health is at stake. Your health is at stake, and your death rate is involved in too. Because some people, brother, and have killed ourselves because what we saw on social media, it has taken us that far off the edge. Also, if you have any tips for us, tell us if you have any tips for this social media addiction. We don't have all the answers. That's what the comment section is for. We're going to try to help you guys as much as we can. And last but not least, about this social media, don't get caught up in what other people are doing. Just stop, because you're going to drive yourself insane and you're going to make yourself sick. And I'm willing to bet you the person that you're looking at, they're going to continue to post. They're going to continue to do what they do while you in the hospital laid up with tubes and IVs coming out of every hole in your body. Brother, I can't say this enough. I love you guys. I appreciate it. And next week, let me just say this, brother, and I'll give you the floor. We're going to because I know everybody's sweating. Well, when are they going to get off this topic? We're off of it, okay? Next week, I had to break the ice. We're done with social media. We will have a new topic for you guys. So tell a loved one to tune in next week. And I promise you, we're finished with social media. And brother, with that being said, I'll let you have the floor now.
This broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Tell a friend about it. This is a positive broadcast. This is social media. So tell someone something about this broadcast, because our broadcast is to bring healing to our minds, because our minds have been infected and affected with so much garbage. Social media has done us a great disservice. And all we're saying is our topic, if you haven't watched this broadcast, we want you to go back and watch the last 3 weeks where we're talking about social media junkies and addicts and people that are obsessed with it, our children and our older people alike. So we just want to share. And like Chaz said, on next week, please tune in at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we'll talk about another subject that we're going to help encourage us all, because right now we're on the cutting edge of life, and we need to find more about what can we do in these last days when it comes to our lives. And one of the things we can do is get our lives back by getting off of social media and staying on it so long. So having said that, this is your big brother, and you see Chaz there, and we're going to get off now, and we'll see you all next week. So until then, we'll say to all of you, Uncle Jocelyn, good night, hotel, and we'll see you guys next week.
Take care, everybody.